It's like I've never been a
Oh,
huge fan of
I
that
think
stuff, but it just
we already started streaming. I accidentally pressed the.
oh yeah.
So
Okay, okay.
it's fine. It just started. So how did
Okay.
you find out about how did you find out about Jinro?
I think I just found it on Mal. Honestly, I was looking for. Actually, I think I might have literally just searched up like realistic anime or like mature anime or something years ago, and then I found it and watched it, and I basically fell in love with it right away. It's basically what anime should be. If you show this to an average like person, someone who claims to be an anime fan now, they're probably gonna say it's boring or it's slow or something, because they're used to like watching like high school girls dance around schools and like mindless action and stuff. But it's an anime that's actually good. It's realistic. It's detailed. There are times when I guess you could say the characters seem somewhat hollow, but I think that kind of makes them a little more realistic. But being an
Yeah,
anime
how'd you
fan
find
now,
out
they're
about
probably
it? Or
gonna
yeah,
say
you
it's
just watched
boring
it
or it's
actually,
slow or
right?
something.
So yes, I mean I've seen some people complain, and I did kind of feel a little bit like this, that you know there's a lot of clips from Jinro being spread around, and it's usually from the
Yeah, the
action.
memes.
Yes, it's usually from the action scene at the start, uh,
Yeah.
and maybe a little bit at the end. But
Hmm.
so a lot of people go into this expecting, because of those memes,
Yeah, yeah,
they kind of expect this to be a very action heavy
yeah.
show. I mean,
Was
I mean, I really did like the right scene at the start,
mhm.
and the tunnel scenes. The
Yeah, yeah.
But you're not. I think it's better if you kind of explain, to people, what should they expect, whether they should expect a lot of that, or
Well,
yes.
um, first, yeah, it is a military drama, so it's there is action in it, but it's not like all action. It's basically I don't want to explain the whole story here, but it takes place in I think around like the 1950s in Japan, around like after World War II, where it's basically it's becoming industrialized and people are living in bad conditions. There's like a lot of violence. There's a lot of gangs and stuff. So they have this police force, I guess, or it becomes sort of like a police state because of all the civil unrest. And you have these police that are you probably see in the memes if you haven't watched it of the guys with the glowing red eyes and the gear. And basically they are the people that are kind of against the civilian like mobs or civilian gang groups that have formed that are kind of smuggling in like bombs and stuff to revolt against the government, um, which the government also is like sort of a there's multiple different groups within the government and not all of them agree with each other, and there's a lot of betrayal and double crossing and stuff like that. And basically the main character is one of these like police that deals with the gangs and civilians, and basically is he witnesses a girl blow herself up. This is a very vague explanation, by the way, but just to get this out of the way, he witnesses a girl blow herself up in front of him, and then he basically gets PTSD, and a lot of the stories about him essentially trying to deal with that and go back into training, and he has to relearn a lot of stuff. And the story does have an ending. It's not like one of those stories that just never goes anywhere too. It has an ending, and yeah, it's slow paced at times. The character interactions feel very realistic. It's not like in most anime where it's like overly cartoonish or overly like I don't know, like fake. It feels very real when you're watching it. And yeah, I guess that's what you can expect is sort of a realistic military drama with good animation, good art style. I always talk about in my videos. I like the darker atmosphere in anime, like stuff like Technolize and like Lane. They kind of have that darker, like dingy look to them, and Jinro also has that, and I think that helps with the with sort of the darkness of the story, and the depression that goes around this civil unrest, and a lot of this, like, the poor people living on top of each other and stuff. And so yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, that was all good. Did you see the ending coming, or was it a surprise or something to you?
um I wouldn't say it was a surprise, but it was still good. It's still cool to watch him sort of. I think everyone could probably agree that they knew that the girl that was supposedly, what was she, like, this, she claimed to be the sister of the girl that blew herself up. I don't, that didn't really surprise me much. And then some of the double crossing, like, wasn't, it wasn't necessarily that it was surprising to me, no, but it was just done well, I guess.
So,
What, did it surprise you at all, or did you
um,
expect the end?
no, no, not really. But I, I still thought it was a good ending. I think, without
Yeah,
spoiling it. I mean, we might spoil it
yeah.
later on, maybe, but not now.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to. We can keep it kind of vague. Otherwise, we'll end up just talking about the entire thing in detail. So it's probably better if we're kind of somewhat vague with it.
I've heard that. Well, I listened to a podcast, or at least to half of it, by some guys called the Right Stuff. I don't know if you saw it. Somebody shared it
Yeah,
on our Discord server, and they were talking about how Jinro is part of a wider universe made by the director. Did you at any point feel like this is you have to read the manga or or the novel or something to get what's actually going on with the setting, or did you feel like it was adequately explained? Like
I'll say that
you don't need to know anything else. You can just go into this and
I will say that I recommend, like, most people should probably rewatch it a few times, because some of the political stuff and some of the multiple organizations and who's doing what and who's like betraying who and what side, it's very easy to forget this when you're watching this show. So I'll say, like, I'd recommend like, it's I guess it's rewatchable is what I'd say. Like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if someone watching this missed out some of that. But
yes.
do I think you need to read the manga? I mean, I don't think so, really. I didn't. I know they also have, like, a live action of this supposedly, which I haven't seen or really heard much about.
Yes, I've also seen some CGI. Some
Yeah,
yeah, I don't, so there's a bunch of other stuff, but I don't think. I guess if you are
yeah,
interested in the setting, to get to know more about the setting, because to keep it short, or at least, I mean, the movie also keeps it short. Like at the start, they kind of explain the setting. Like it, I think
yeah,
it's set in the 1950s or something, Japan. But
yeah. I think so.
yes, but Japan, rather than being occupied by the United States, Japan is occupied by the Germans, which is why um, uh, the police or whatever the special unit or whatever they are those hats which look like.
Yeah,
You know, uh,
I think they call them the anti-terrorism force or something like
or
that.
something
Or
like that. Yes,
yeah,
they look like Nazi um,
yeah.
uh, military hats or whatever. What did you make of? I mean, did you feel like that added anything? Like, did it matter at all that like it was the Germans who occupied Japan or something? That really matter at all?
Well, at the no, I wouldn't say so. At the time when I watched it, I wasn't really thinking about that, to be honest. And yeah, it is supposed to be technically set in like a different universe, though. So yeah, it's um,
But it didn't need to
I
be, I guess.
yeah, I guess it didn't need to be. And it is a little weird when you actually think about it, but yeah, I don't think it really did. Like it didn't have to do that. Yeah,
It's just an aesthetic thing.
yeah. Basically, like I don't know, Nazis are evil. Look at this guy; he's scary or something like that.
Yes. So throughout the movie, there's this metaphor, I guess, with the Little Red Riding Hood story.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
Um,
At times, I felt like it was a bit on the nose, like when the girl, both of the girls, like end up wearing, literally wearing a red hood.
yeah, yeah. It's not exactly the most complex symbolism to notice. Pretty
Yeah,
sure anyone could. It's very obvious and in your face
yeah.
with the symbol.
Yes, not very subtle, I guess.
Yeah, and obviously the I think his name was like Fusei, right? He was the he was like supposed to be the wolf, I guess, or one of the wolves. And there's even a scene where he's like, we're supposed to be. I think it was more of like a hallucination, but basically, like he turns into a wolf or something, or there's a bunch of wolves behind him, and then he sees them all eating the girl that he was romantically interested in, and the supposed sister of the girl who blew herself up in the beginning. And you see the wolves like eating her, and she's wearing like a red riding hood, and it's like, yeah, it's very hard to not see that symbolism.
So I felt like this film kind of exceeded in the presentation and the style, but the story was rather simplistic.
Yeah,
Um, would you agree with that or not?
yeah, I'd agree with that. But at the same time, it's not always a bad thing. You know, sometimes you can watch things that don't have to be overly complicated, you know, outside of some of the politics, which I think are some, not that they're complicated, but they can go over your head. But yeah, the overall plot is very simple and basically easily digestible. I would, let's say this would be a great anime to recommend to someone who thinks anime is all like porn or like I don't know, like shonen stuff. If you find someone like that and then show them something like this, um, they wouldn't expect this to be anime, you know? Like it's a very adult themed show, adult oriented show. It's not like some teenage thing like Code Geass or like some shonen or something. You know, it's really a show that adults can enjoy, you know, like
Yes, yes. The characters are all old. They're not
yeah,
teenagers.
yeah, very mature. And like I said, with the dialogue too, well, that's another thing we should talk about. There's not a lot of dialogue in this show, so when you're like looking at these characters, like Fusei, when you're like trying to figure out how he's feeling, you kind of have to get it from the other characters he's interacting with. Um, like you know the girl or some of the people at the training academy, the police academy. You kind of have to understand how he's feeling through them because he's not like there's not a whole lot of dialogue. Not that it's not like it's pretty obvious that he's not a very happy guy, but
Yes,
yeah, you know what I'm saying.
yeah, it reminded a bit to me like of the beginning of Technolize a bit.
Yeah, yeah. it's like a lot of grunting and like groaning and stuff. It's not a dialogue heavy show, but I kind of like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad thing, but I mean, it doesn't have a lot of the protagonist doesn't really have a lot of personality, I guess.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is
but
true.
it, but he does
Really,
serve his purpose, I guess.
yeah, really, none of the characters have much personality, which I agree with that criticism for the show. Um, but
So
you know, if you look at real life, a lot of people aren't as animated as they are in most anime. So it's
I know.
you want to use the like, oh, it's more realistic. It makes it more realistic, which
Yeah,
it kind of does. But
that's
is that a cope for bad character writing?
good point.
Or
Yes, exactly.
yeah, it's
Because I really hate it when people excuse things which are not good in a story by saying like oh it's
yeah,
realistic or like
it makes it more realistic because the characters are boring because people are boring in real life.
yeah, I mean it's the same thing with a lot of anime aimed at teenagers. Like they will say that oh the characters are teenagers, so
Yeah,
teenagers are stupid. So that's
yeah,
it. That's realistic.
yeah,
um, so I mean, if I just wanted to see realistic things, then I wouldn't watch anime, would I? So,
yeah.
is there any use to understanding the politics? Did you feel like it had anything, or do you feel like
Honest.
there's anything worth explaining about it? No.
Well, to be honest with you, it's been a few years since I've actually watched this, and you watched it like didn't you? You said you recently watched it, right?
Last
So you
night, yes.
probably have a fresher memory of the politics than I do. But basically, I remember there being an organization. I forget the name of it, and basically, when Fusei joins the academy, he's very close with another guy. I think his name's like Henmai or Henmi or something
Yes,
like that,
anime, yes.
and he is part of X organization, and Fusei's part of the other one, but he doesn't know that he's basically like double crossing him essentially, and that's sort of one of the like what would you say conflicts within the show, and it's unclear if Fusei kind of knows it or not. There's times where it looks like he sort of knows that this guy's not trustworthy or whatever, and then there's other times where it seems like he does. So like I said, you kind of have to look at how he interacts with the other characters to make that decision for yourself. But if you want to go into the more of the political side of it, since it's fresher in your head, if you have a better explanation.
Yeah, I mean, what you said is basically right. So there are, so the anti-terrorist police, which Fusei is part of, has served its purpose. Um,
Wasn't it called like Snake or something, or like Owl or something, or like I feel like I could have sworn that there was a name for the
yes, they throw around words like that. For instance,
yeah.
the Wolf Brigade, which is in the title,
Oh yeah, yeah,
the,
yeah.
but I think um, referring to like a group within the anti-terrorist
Hmm.
thing, which the which
Basically,
Fuse is part of.
yeah,
Uh,
basically like the best of the best, I
yeah,
guess, like the elites within the group.
and it's apparently a secret group as well. So
Yeah.
um, so yeah, and yeah, so here on the Wikipedia it says that Jinro is the third film in Oshi's Kerberos saga, and is primarily based on Oshi's manga Kerberos Panzer Cop. So yeah, there's a lot of other stuff.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think I've heard of it.
um, I also kind of did feel like by the end, all that happens is like a return to the status quo. Like
Yeah.
you're introduced to this setting, but by the end, it's just a return to the status quo. Did you feel that too?
Um, yeah, I get what you're saying. It's like all this happens for what, I guess. Um, I get like nothing really changes, I guess you could say. But at the same time, it is a movie, and it's harder to
I, I,
when
I
when
guess
you're
it's
watching a movie.
I guess it's you have to go and read Oshi's manga Kerberos 7
Yeah,
account
maybe.
to
Yeah,
find
yeah.
out
So,
what happens.
because
Yeah.
I know it's like I think this movie's like an hour and 30 minutes or something like that. But for me, when I watched it, I remember it going by really fast. I don't know
Yes,
if you
yes.
felt like that
I did
too.
feel
So
that too. Yes, I did feel
yeah,
that too.
yeah. So it doesn't really feel like a hour and a half long movie. It feels a lot faster. So it's easy to just like miss a lot or think you know
Yes, apparently,
where did it all go? I guess.
yes. Apparently, this was initially supposed to be a 6 episode OVA. I wonder how that would have gone. I mean, it could have either gone well or gone to shit.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
So, about the themes, I mean, is there a message or something that it's trying to make? Did you? I mean, or is it just a story? I guess a dark
Um,
story or something like that.
yeah, like I said, it's sort of like technolized in a lot of ways. It's like suffering in anime form. Like you said, there's not a lot of dialogue. It's like a lot of groaning and stuff. It's like the atmosphere is like living here right now is shit. Everyone's poor. Everyone's doing some form of criminal shit to try to like I guess survive. And while you're doing all this crazy stuff, smuggling in bombs through these underground tunnels or selling weapons or whatever, there's always the chance that these elite police will come out of nowhere and spray you down with a machine gun. So it's like there's not a lot to be happy about in this world, and I think it's very clear that pretty much everyone in the show is pretty miserable. Even the characters that try to be like somewhat upbeat don't really do a good job of portraying it. You can tell they're still pretty miserable. So I would say that if there's a theme, it's that this is not so much that there's a super important message. The symbolism, like I said, is pretty obvious, but the overall thing is, I guess, a type of torture porn or something similar to Technolize.
Yeah, I guess I see that on the Wikipedia that the manga was released on a sci-fi monthly magazine. So, I mean, did you feel any that there was any sci-fi or any anything of the
Uh,
sort?
Not really, other than the looks of it, I guess, kind of resemble Ghost in the Shell, the movies, but other than that, not really.
I
Did
guess
you?
no. I mean, I guess it was a bit strange that people could just shoot bullets at Fuse, and I don't know, none of the bullets hit him, but so he must.
Yeah,
So there must be something special about uh, that armor,
the
which is
gear. Yeah, I thought of that too. Yeah, or
maybe
yeah, maybe there's
there's an
that was one thing
explanation.
that
Yeah, that's
yeah,
maybe
that
yeah. That maybe there's some sci-fi explanation in
yeah,
the
that was one thing that wasn't explained in detail is the armor. I wouldn't be surprised because wasn't there like shots, I guess, where it was like you were getting the perspective like a first person view through the helmet or something, and it's like um I don't know, it like kind of looked like it was some sort of
night
um
vision, I guess. It
yeah,
looked.
something like that. Yeah, like maybe there was some advanced technology in those suits. I wouldn't be surprised since it's technically in a group within a group that's supposed to be secret, and it's like the best of the best, the elites. So maybe I guess the government whichever side of the government they were on was maybe provided them with like advanced technology or something compared to just the other members of the group.
Uh, I guess, given that this was part of a trend, even though it's not sci-fi, I think it was part of a trend in the 90s. I think this came out. When did this come out? Let me check. I'm pretty sure it was in the
Uh,
90s,
yeah,
1999.
yeah, yeah.
So I guess, so do you think that this is like part of a trend in the 90s of um, gritty dark anime, or something like that?
Yeah, you could say that. I don't really know of. I mean, there's a lot of trends in the '90s. Like in the '90s, this was also a trend of anime being good. So maybe there's a correlation there. But yeah, that is true. That a lot of these shows, like for example, stuff like Ergo Proxy, Wolf's Rain, this, Technolize, Lane. A lot of these shows were from somewhat like pretty close to each other, and with release dates and stuff. So yeah, maybe this was sort of part of that trend with making things more dark and gritty. I don't know if there's some deeper analysis of
Can you
like
think?
Japan
Uh,
being depressed or something like that.
can you think of any other ones which are not sci-fi? Because all the other ones, other than Jinro, which you mentioned, were sci-fi, I think.
Um, is
Are they?
Wolf's Rain sci-fi?
It's more
It's more of like,
supernatural, I guess.
yeah, supernatural. Like, um, I'm not saying Wolf's Rain was pretty bad anime too, but um, I mean, I'm sure I can find some, but yeah, sci-fi has always been like that era, that early 2000s era. There was a lot of sci-fi and like for example, Lane. I know everyone always talks about this, but part of the reason Lane blew up was because of people getting used to computers being in everyone's households, and sort of the paranoia of like not understanding technology, I guess, and so I think it would make sense in this era for the majority of these shows to have some sort of sci-fi theme, and plus that's always been sort of a something that humans have always obsessed over, like Star Trek and all these things, and Gundam and Star Wars, and like sci-fi has always been like such a popular genre, even today with a lot of these Netflix series that are coming out are all sci-fi. So I don't know if it's a fact that it was like a sci-fi trend, or if sci-fi has always sort of been a top genre. But what do you think? Do you think it was? Do you think like that's saying something, that this is the only, I guess, non-sci-fi or that we can think of right now?
I think this was more reflecting the student protests. I mean, you do kind of see it in other stuff like Akira, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
I think this was more based on the student protests because they were pretty big in Japan.
yeah, and the more the degeneracy, I guess, of like Acura has the sort of the street kids, like the thugs, I guess, and this sort of has that too,
No,
with like
uh,
youth
I,
gangs, I guess. I don't
I
know.
think no, I think no, you're right, you're right. Akira is more about the gangs in the
Yeah,
90s, but this feels more about about the student protests back in the 60s in Japan,
yeah,
which is pretty
I
big.
get what you're saying. Yeah,
They were really big. I mean, they built fucking fortresses at where Narita Airport is today, for instance.
yeah,
And but Yes, I think it's got more to do with that. Whereas, as you said, most of the sci-fi stuff seems to be more about more about, I guess. I'm not sure whether you could call it scaremongering, I guess, or
yeah,
kind of exploiting the fear that people have about technology, the new
yeah,
technology, and making horror out of it, I guess.
Like you're gonna get sucked through a computer, or end up in a different realm, and it's gonna be ran by like a lolly little girl. There's gonna be God of the universe or something. But
Yeah, yeah. So basically, Harui.
yeah.
So, did you see any Christian symbolism or anything of the like? I guess
Um.
because Mamoru Oshii sometimes has a tendency of putting it
Yeah,
in.
you're right. I didn't notice, but one thing I want to say actually is another anime this somewhat reminds me of for anyone who's a fan of it is Angel's Egg. It sort of seems like there's a which does that. The reason this reminded me is because there's a lot of like religious themes in Angel's Egg, and that's sort of another anime that has that darker sort of style, darker theme to it. And there's also not a lot of dialogue in that movie. But did I notice any Christian themes? I don't think I did. I don't know if you did.
No.
It's like I said, it's been a while. I don't think I did. No, but
Yes, it was all about I guess German
yeah,
mythology, or what do you call, not mythology, folk
more
tales. Folk tales.
yeah, more like a nihilistic sort of view, or if anything,
Yeah, yeah, kind of, yeah, kind of a more of a pagan sort
yeah,
of
yeah,
thing. Yes.
yeah.
Did you, given that you mentioned Angel's Egg, did you? I thought that this was much better than Angel's Egg. What do you think?
Um, yeah, I would agree. I think I have. This is personally one of my favorite anime movies. I think Angel's Egg's good too as well, but I think this is better than Angel's Egg. Um, for for a lot of reasons, but the plot's more interesting. What did you like this? You said you liked this more than Angel's Egg, right?
Yes, and I didn't like Angel's Egg very much, to be honest. But yes, I did
You
like it.
didn't.
No, I
You don't
didn't.
like. You don't like the dark,
Yeah, I don't know.
pretentious.
Yes, exactly. I mean, if
Yeah,
just explain things, I don't like this.
yeah,
Uh, like, oh, I don't want to like sit there guessing what that means, what this means. Um,
yeah,
that kind of thing, and yeah, there wasn't like for example, at the end of Ghost in the Shell, the first movie, for some reason they go into a church and
yeah.
there's the tree of life, and some bullets go through it, and yeah, but why? What's the point? Um,
Yeah, and then there's that scene in Angel's Egg where there's like, for some reason, there's like shadow fish or something, and they're like getting
yeah,
speared, and it's like this is religious symbolism. Also, it is kind of annoying how there's no dialogue whatsoever. Really, like it's like I understand there not being a lot of dialogue, but it's almost like it becomes a challenge at that point. Like, how long can we let's make a movie with no dialogue in it or something? Like, there's not really a reason for them not to be speaking, but they don't speak.
by the way, the Kerberos saga on which this movie is based on, he has
Mhm.
been working on it in the 80s, the 90s, up to the early 2000s. So there probably is a lot of stuff somewhere.
Yeah.
Unless he released just one volume, yeah, something. Who knows? Um, let's see. What else is there to say about this? Um, yeah,
Basically, watch this. If Watch this and don't watch the new stuff coming out.
yeah,
Don't remember, anime is not just little girls in high schools and slice of life, and there's realistic anime that you don't have to be embarrassed to like say is good, you don't have to
yeah.
anime is not all porn.
I,
It's
I think
there's
yes, it did a good.
thought provoking.
It did a good job of being a dark anime without becoming silly. Because
Yeah.
a lot of new anime which tries to be dark, it's kind of hard to take seriously.
Yeah, you can't take it seriously, and mainly because of these character designs too.
Yes.
Like in this show, the character designs are very human looking. like outside of like one thing I'll say with I'll give Attack on Titan credit for somewhat resembling humans, but a lot of these newer shows coming out, some of these isekai, it's just like the characters look like walking blobs. It's kind of like the Cal Arts cancer that started flourishing in the
I wouldn't
cartoon.
say it's as bad as Scarlet's, but yes,
Yeah, yeah,
it's more
yeah. It's
suited for
not.
comedy. It's more suited for
Yeah,
comedy than any something serious and dark, I guess.
yeah, pretty much. But you do see it shaping over. You know, it starts as comedy, and now it's like you start noticing that slowly some of these characters are starting to look younger and more like uh, I don't know, deformed. I guess even in shows that are supposed to be like taken seriously.
Yes,
Um,
I I think this anime comes from a time when anime looked more towards Western sci-fi, like
yeah,
Star Wars and stuff.
yeah, Star Wars, Star Trek.
Whereas now it's more inward looking, and even if anime does look outside towards the West, I mean, I'm not sure whether that would necessarily be an improvement at this point.
Yeah, you'd
Um,
have a bunch of obese people or people telling you to get vaccinated or something. But yeah, the good thing about this though is this sort of realistic art style though is it like it's like you said, you can take it seriously. You know, it's hard to take a lot of these shows seriously. Like I don't know, what's an example? Like um God, what was that anime? Made in Abyss, where it's like these little bobblehead little guys are getting their arms broken off and stuff. I'm not saying like this wasn't necessarily a new anime, but it's newer compared to this. And it's like it's sort of hard to take it seriously when these characters are little like deformed, little bobblehead looking things. Like you know, the more realistic an anime looks, the more you can, I guess, self insert or relate to it or take it more seriously.
so, well, so I guess because of the, let's say, German aesthetics, I've seen so basically that podcast that right stuff podcast was basically trying to claim this anime as one of their own. Like you do see this with basically people want all the good, want to claim all the good stuff, whether it be anime or something else, to represent the values of their side politically. So if there's something good, which happens to be good, people will try to claim it, that this represents our values, or something like that. I mean,
Yeah, I guess like Legend of the Galactic Heroes, like this
yeah.
comes from my time. It's the best. The problem with this is there is clear good and bad. You know, it's not all subjective. Like there's times when opinions change. Like there was a time when Code Geass was seen as a highbrow anime. Um, and there was times when like Bakano was seen, and now these are both shows that are seen as bad or average. But that's more of like I don't know. That's just more of maybe with more people like more critical people being in the in the community. It's going to things like this aren't going to last. You know, I don't think Legend of the Galactic Heroes is like years from now is going to be seen as bad or something or like that like we're cherry picking that's another common criticism is that you're like cherry picking what you're like let's be clear the amount of anime that was coming out in the 80s versus what's coming out today, even the shows that were bad, yeah, there were bad shows in the 80s, 90s, the 2000s, the golden era, whatever, but they still had soul, you know, even these like random like I don't know, these random garbage shows that people make fun of. The original Devilman, which I watched, I thought was pretty bad. But it still felt real, you know, like it had soul. Like you could tell people worked on it, and the people that were working on it were doing it because they liked it. They weren't doing it for money or because it's a trend or something. I'm not saying there's a lot of money in the anime community now, but back then there's literally no money. Um, and sorry, I kind of went on a tangent there, but
Yes.
what were you originally saying?
Well, first to add to your point, I would agree that there isn't that much. I think I saw a news story earlier that studio which the basically the Attack on Titan studio until a
Yeah,
certain point that they are like in a massive debt because obviously there's no fucking money to be made in anime. But
yeah,
unless you're making Dragon Ball or something, I don't know.
yeah.
But I guess the point I was trying to make earlier is that so is this a quote unquote a right wing anime or a left wing anime? Like, is this saying like is this picking a side or something?
Well, the left wing ideology tends to not like things that are good. So that's sort of why you'll see people that are let's say left wing or left more left wing like for example Digibro, like he's I guess you could say he's more of a left wing person, especially now, where he's at the point where he claims that gender is a social construct, whatever. But what did you notice about his personality? He was always all over the place. He never had a really a firm grasp on anything. He never really took a stand for anything. It was always everything's up in the air, like everything's good, everything's bad, it's all art, it's all bullshit. Like I'm pretty sure he literally said that exact quote. But yeah, so is it a left wing or right wing? I mean, like I just think it's good. Like I just think it's a good anime. And like I said, people saying that like we're cherry picking or something, or we're like, I do agree. This is one of the better serious or realistic type of shows, kind of like Technolize. I like Technolize also. I don't know if you like it. I keep comparing it to it because it's they're both sort of dark, and I guess they're we could say the overall theme of nihilism is pretty present in both of them. But yeah,
I guess the reason why I asked is because Mamoru Oshii's I think he's a communist if I'm not mistaken. At least used to
yeah,
be.
I've heard. Yeah, I've
Um,
heard.
and so I found it a bit odd that you basically had these right wingers trying to claim that
Yeah,
that basically this was taking their side.
yeah. Well,
For example, I think they made a pretty weak argument by saying that one of the characters says something about dog breeds, how if you mix them, there's a 50-50 chance.
yeah, I think I remember that.
That was just about they were just talking about their organization,
Yeah, I guess
the
it's easy
politics.
to watch this and
Yeah, and
think it's some Nazi propaganda, and
yeah,
like all the like a bunch of tards or something would gravitate towards it.
I mean, what I'm saying is not that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
Yeah,
yeah, it just isn't there. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, I just didn't see. I guess basically what some people want to go because a lot of the memes which you find in related to Jinro are like those Fash Wave memes about
yeah,
right wing death squads, uh,
yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
and I guess what people kind of want to see, what some people at least want to see, is basically a bunch of right wing death squads unilaterally
yeah,
killing Antifa members or something.
yeah.
Uh,
Making them like face the wall or something like that.
I mean, I guess
Yeah,
there's a little bit of that, but it's not.
yeah. I mean, there's at the end of the day, there's people. his poor people getting mowed down. So by guys in armor with LMGs and stuff. So
Uh,
not too different.
I see it. So, Toad Agent says that we should check the stream. He's probably left some comments. Let's have a look. So, Toad Agent says that he has stopped watching New Anime altogether at this point. AOT is the exception because I have a friend who watches it with me. It's also a decent
Yeah.
show. He says that he's sorry he couldn't make it today because his foot is in a really bad shape. Well, hopefully he'll be able to make it for next week because we were planning to talk about Twin Peaks season 2, and he's the one who recommended Twin Peaks, so it would be a pity if he wasn't there for it.
Isn't that like a real like a Netflix show or something?
It's a David Lynch TV series from the
Okay,
90s.
okay. Yeah, I
But
think I've heard of it.
I'm going to have a quick look. I've kind of run out of things to say about Jinro.
Yeah, we don't have. This doesn't have to be that long. I mean, it is a movie. It's not like the.
Yeah,
It's not like a series, so I didn't expect it to be that long.
because it's a lot. It's a lot more about, as you said, like
The
get
aesthetic, I guess.
getting into like the hopeless atmosphere. Uh,
Yeah, and I mean, we could sit here and explain the entire like plot, but it that's sort of
it,
would defeat the purpose of the live stream, I guess.
if you want to
Um,
see that, you can always go and watch
yeah,
Bennett the Sage. His reviews are basically he just goes over the entire plot.
didn't that yeah didn't that guy quit though or something? I thought I heard something about him quitting or
Did he quit? I don't know. The reason why I mentioned him is because I basically knew the ending. So basically, when you asked me whether I could see the ending coming,
okay, okay.
I was like, I don't know because I was already
Yeah,
told what the ending
yeah,
was to begin with,
yeah,
so I can't
yeah.
say. Um,
Did you think? Let me ask you a question. Do you think that like took away from the experience or no?
I
Like,
mean, it's the double-edged sword because on the one hand, um, because I knew that this was kind of going to go to be a romantic story or tragedy. Okay, that kind
yeah,
of spoils it. Shit. Uh, um,
yeah,
so I mean, it's not exactly a Romeo and Juliet, but uh,
yeah. When it, I think it's listed on Mal as like a romance or something. I wouldn't really say it's much of a romance. Like it has romantic elements, but it's not like Rose of Versailles or something.
but did you feel, by the way? So first, I'll finish my point. On the one hand, because I knew what I was getting into, um, I wasn't disappointed, and also I knew that this was by Mamoru Oshii, so I was
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting. Basically, to put it bluntly, the intro, or rather the first scene after the intro. So in the intro they give us some world building exposition a little bit, and then
yeah,
um, you get the proper first scene. That's basically bait or a hook to get you into it because the action and everything is good.
yeah.
But
If you're a pleb, it'll bait you. If you're a high IQ elitist, you'll ignore the action and look for the deep and hope that there's deep thought provoking conversations.
yes, I guess so. Or maybe I don't know. So because I knew that it was going to like change the angle at which it was going to go.
Yeah,
It wasn't going to be like about Fuse and his buddies in the right wing
Yeah.
squad, um, like going on missions, killing commies or
Yeah.
something. The ending kind of did remind me a bit of the Third Man, if you have seen that film, because it's in a tunnel. But
I haven't
um,
seen that.
yes. So but on the other hand, that's the good thing about knowing what the ending is. So that,
Hmm.
but I guess you don't need to know the ending. You just need to know that it's not going to be action all the way.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I guess it was a bit less impactful for me
Yeah. Yeah.
because I think if I didn't know, then maybe I would have had some hope, which could have been destroyed. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you need to give. Okay, so I mean, I already said that that's a tragedy tag. So,
Yeah. Hmm.
um, what else is that? I wanted to make another point, but I forgot what it was. Um, do you have anything else to add?
Um, no, not really. What would you do you have any other comparisons for similar anime films or series? I know I gave a lot of them. Just in case people like something and they can compare it or something like that. I might have kind of taken them all, but
Let's see. I guess, given that you're talking about Oshi, I guess the two Patlabor movies might do it.
oh yeah, that's a good example.
I mean,
I
it's
really like. I think that specifically the second Petlabor movie, a lot of the very similar, and I think they're both very good too.
yes. I think the difference is more that the Patlabor stuff doesn't try to be as tragic.
Yeah,
There's a lot more talking. I remember.
yeah.
Um, there's mechs, which is always good.
Hmm.
Um, but I think I probably preferred this. I probably prefer
Yeah,
this over the Patlabor movies, to be honest.
yeah, I do too. I think the problem with the Petlabor movies, or the second one, was the but towards the end, I just got really bored of it, and I never really got bored watching Junro. Even with the lack of dialogue, and there are parts of it that are kind of slowish. At least with it's I never really got bored.
Yes,
I think we both agreed that it went by it like watching it. It feels a lot faster than it actually is. It's like an hour and 40 minutes, I think, and it really doesn't feel like that. So that's always a good thing.
yes. With the Patlabor movies, I don't know. Maybe Oshi bit off more than he could chew, and
Yeah,
because in this genre, like that's a lot less stuff going on.
yeah,
Um, and also because Patlabor, because basically, well, it's a thing which Oshi does. I think he did it with Urusei Yatsura as well, where he takes a more light-hearted series and he gives it a darker spin.
yeah,
Because what I mean by that is that the Patlabor is a series. It's not just the movies, and the series, if I'm not mistaken, is more light-hearted.
yeah. The
Um,
series aren't as good at
and
versus the movies.
so I guess I kind of had an expectation that from the start that by like at the end of the day, like major characters are not going to die. Um, so earlier I said that by that in general, like we return to the status quo, but that's the setting which returns to the status quo, and maybe even
Yeah,
even the character to an extent, but still some, not for everyone, I guess, not for one character at least. Um, and I mean, I guess you would have to see, what happens next to see whether this whether it would have any long term effect on Fuse, or whether
Yeah.
he just goes back to being the heartless wolf that he was um, before meeting the first girl um, in the tunnel.
Yeah.
So, by the way, it's never answered in the story. So I guess the creators are asking us to guess. Why do you think he didn't shoot her, the first girl?
Um,
I mean,
yeah. You got to clarify that. I'm just kidding.
but
um,
I guess I got to clarify that. So in
no,
the
no, no. I was just joking. Just for the sake of spoilers with the ending.
no,
Um,
I'm not asking about the ending. I'm asking about the first girl,
oh, the
the little
suicide
girl.
bomber.
Yes.
I'm not really sure. I think it could have been maybe just shock or something, or he saw something in her. That there's been debates if he was supposed to kill her, or I don't know. For some reason, there's descriptions where it's like he was supposed to rescue her or something. I think it's pretty clear that she had a bomb. Like he wasn't really like thinking that that wasn't a bomb or that it was like just some lost girl. I think he knew what it was that he had to do, but I think it was just morals, whatever, conscience. I guess clearly he still had a conscience at that point. Maybe he thought he didn't, and he was just some heartless killer, and then it takes him, almost having to kill, an innocent looking girl that snaps him into reality, and it's like, maybe he was shocked by the fact that he still had emotions, maybe, and that's where the whole PTSD thing started. And
Yeah, I mean,
well,
yeah, they never really gave an answer to that question because the
yeah,
villain also asks why, but just like I don't know. Basically,
yeah,
and another thing. What did you make of I guess the motivation of the protagonist? Um, because he didn't. I mean, I guess he was loyal, but it was kind of a silent loyalty.
yeah.
More,
It's a question of like oh, like I don't know, was he just like sort of a drone, I guess, like following orders till the end, or like is that like kind of um I don't know, maybe it's like some Japanese honor or something where he's like loyal to the end. He has to get the job done no matter what. Um,
did you feel like
but
this?
yet,
Yeah, go on.
well, there's a lot of mysteries around the protagonist. Like you never really know what he's thinking. Like I said, you kind of have to judge him by what the other characters he interacts with think of him, I guess, and obviously what you think of him, but that's the only identification you really get of like uh, what he could be feeling or anything, because he's so just emotionless,
Yeah, I mean,
throughout most of it.
it doesn't sound like he's someone who has faith in the system or something.
Yeah, yeah, he kind of does seem just like I said, nihilistic, depressed. Like if he's not gonna do this, then someone else will just take his place and do it, I guess. So he may as well do it, or something like that. Um,
Mm,
Also,
mm.
uh, thought agent in your chat talked about the music, where he said he said he found the soundtrack before the film itself, and that he liked the music. And yeah, I think the music was very good too. Not that like music, I try not to talk about soundtracks and stuff when you're reviewing something, but yeah, the music was very good, and I think it did help with the atmosphere.
Yes, the
I don't
music
know if
was
you,
good. Yes, the music
yeah,
was good.
yeah,
Especially the scene where Fuse's boss explains to the girl that Fuse knew all along um, about that she was deceiving him.
oh
Um,
yeah, yeah,
that
I
it was
think
a
I
honey
remember.
trap. Yes, that was
Yeah.
the music. Uh,
Yeah. Do
yeah,
you think he this is sort of, I don't know. Do you think he knew um um like all along, I guess, that it was like that everyone who supposedly betrayed him was going to, I guess, or like do you think he was playing dumb with at times, or
I think he knew. I think doesn't
yeah.
the older guy basically say that like we have observing Fuse
Yeah, yeah.
and Fuse knew from the beginning that it was a trap.
Yeah,
Uh,
I guess it's just like I don't know, maybe he was just saying that to I don't know, it's like kind of the CIA when they like are trying to get a criminal to confess. It's like, do you know the technology we have? But you're right. It probably either it probably
I don't know. I
he
mean,
probably did know.
did he really need to? Because
Yeah,
he knew that they were going to kill the older guy
yeah.
knew that they were going to kill her anyway.
It didn't exactly change anything, regardless.
Did you feel like the film was saying that what the protagonist did was the right thing, rather than running away with her or something?
Well, I think from the Japanese, or let's just say the East Asian standpoint, probably because if you know how their culture is with them, loyalty being the ultimate, I guess more of a collectivist mindset where like, you work your whole life, work is everything, your job is everything. It's more important than anything else. So perhaps that was the message there. Did he do the right thing? I mean, he kind of said in the show, like running away with her or something. Well, it's not really going to work, like there's a reason everyone's in the cities. It's because, that's where the work is. So
Didn't he?
they can't,
I mean, didn't he say that he can't run away with her because he has
yeah, he
still
has
something
something
to
to
do?
do. Yeah, yeah, I guess. But I mean, either way, even if he did run away, I don't think it would have worked. But yeah, it is sort of collectivist, like I guess he felt like he couldn't escape his fate or something. Like it was what he had to do, whether that was a result, of the PTSD and stuff, where he had to like face his demons, or he didn't want to be seen as like running away forever or something. Um,
Yeah. So, did you feel like the I guess psychedelic dreams? I guess dream scenes. Where like he's a wolf. I don't know. Did that really add anything, or was that just pretty colors to you?
yeah, yeah, they were a little bit weird. For this movie in particular, for like a movie that's supposed to be serious, it did feel sort of weird, but I've never been a fan of that type of stuff, like the mind fuck genre and like the trippy like themes and stuff. So I wasn't really, and also it's like you already can see the symbolism. You don't have to make it even more obvious by showing wolves and stuff. And
What about literally reading the story of Red Riding Hood to you?
yeah,
Uh, yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it. I mean, I guess in a sense, I kind of I kind of respect their dedication to basically just going all the way, like
yeah,
because they basically tell you the whole story from the beginning to end.
yeah,
And I guess it looks a bit silly when the girl started saying like uh, just before she was about to get she said,
yeah,
oh, what did she say? Did she say like, "Grandma, why do you have
yeah. I
such
think
big teeth?"
yeah, yeah, that was kind of weird.
um, but I mean, it didn't feel that way. But if you think about it
Yeah, it's
later
kind of
on,
funny looking back. Yeah,
um, let's see. We talked about the music. I guess some people might find some pleasure in looking at the weapons and scars and stuff. They are
yeah,
pretty well drawn.
hmm
I guess another reason why it reminded me of the third man is because the third man is set in occupied Vienna, um,
Mhm.
in right after the war, in 1945. And yeah, there's a chase scene in the tunnels of, I think it's Vienna, some kind of Austrian city. But I mean, it's a very different film as well, though.
Yeah.
Because, like, I guess, you don't get as much gun porn, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, it,
The whole sewer tunnel thing isn't the most unique setting ever either. Even looking at like anime, it's not.
yes,
Well,
I
I'm sure
found
there's multiple comparisons,
yes,
but
I found the riot thing a little bit more interesting.
yeah,
It's a pity. I don't know. I mean, uh, what did you take? I mean, they didn't really say a lot about the quote unquote sect, the resistance, or whatever.
yeah,
Um, I think they implied that they were losing popularity just as the anti-terrorism corps or whatever.
yeah.
But
I think it was just a result of the people being fed up of the government altogether. I guess so. It's like they're all our enemies. Anyone who's in power or has any relation to any of it is against them. I think that's sort of what the riot was. They were just targeting anyone who was, I guess, police or whatever, or the
yes,
whatever organization.
yeah. Another reason why, I mean, given that in this setting it's Germany rather than the United States which takes over Japan, did you feel like it was sufficiently different? Um, like, was it German enough? I guess. If you imagine that setting, would it look like it looked there?
um, I mean, not really. They could have done more to make it look more German, but other than like you said with the uniforms and stuff, it wasn't really that much.
Yeah.
Do you think they could have done more to make it more
Yes, if they
clear that?
yeah, I guess if they were going to make it about that, if that was really important, um, but I guess it wasn't.
Yeah, it's just yeah, it's like you said, it doesn't really add much to the story. It's kind of just like a side thing, and that you kind of forget while you're watching it.
How long ago did you watch Wolf's Rain? Sorry, I mean fucking Jinro, not Wolf's Rain.
I think it was around 2017 or something. So it's been a while.
And did you find it in 2017, or have you watched it multiple times?
I've watched it maybe two or three times because one time I watched it with someone, and then I I think I watched it twice. Like I said, it's a good anime to introduce people to anime with. So it's like it's one of the shows that I try to show people that are new to anime or skeptical of anime or whatever. But all the times I watched it, it's been like a long time since I've watched it. Like they were all pretty. Maybe 2018 was the time I rewatched it.
Did you feel like the themes discussed were anything new or fresh, or had you seen it already before?
I don't think they were any different from any other military group. Really, they weren't really explained that deeply, but they were explained enough to where that this guy's a member of X group, this guy's a member of this other group, this guy's from this. It's just enough to understand that there are these different sects, but it's not quite a super deep analysis. Like it's not a very deep. It's kind of unclear what, like you said, what necessarily these different groups have against each other, or what their differences are. Um,
Yeah, I guess I was more thinking in terms of the themes. Um,
oh yeah,
yeah, the whole, like, basically forbidden romance kind of thing.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I, I guess. Hmm, did you feel like it was, given that we have talked a bit, so I don't think there's any problem with spoiling it now. Did you
Mhm.
feel like it was a cop out at the end that he wasn't the one to shoot her, or at least it didn't look like it? It didn't look like it was Fuse who shot her. It was somebody else with a rifle.
Yeah, I think it was kind of just trying to say that it was all for nothing. You know, like he spent all that. He went back to try to prove to himself, you know, that he wasn't that he was a heartless guy or something. But in the end, he still, I guess, couldn't pull the trigger again. I guess, you know, it's like he um he failed twice in a way. You know, would be the obvious explanation. You know, all that of him, the self battle he had, or the depression of him, like probably analyzing in his head over and over why he couldn't pull the trigger, and then getting to the point where he has to do it again and he can't do it again. Um, it's sort of like again, it goes back to that whole nihilistic tone where it's like it was all pointless anyway. You know, like
Yeah, yeah, we are just pawns.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, on the one, because I guess, given that we were watching Code Geass, I mean, Code Geass is, it's like, they're more showing you the perspective from the ones whose decisions matter in a
yeah,
sense. Whereas here, you kind of see more, the consequences for those whose
yeah,
decisions do
yeah.
not matter.
Yeah.
For better, for worse. Let's see. I think. Uh, Let me have a quick look at. Yeah, I don't think Snob has
Okay.
reviewed it, so I don't think there's anything else to discuss.
Yeah, I don't think he has. I know. Pretty sure Bob Samurai has done a review for it.
What did he say?
I think he liked it, but he likes, you know, he's not a very harsh critic, I guess, comparing him to Snob. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, he said it was. He kind of just said the same stuff we said. I mean, he vaguely went over the plot. You know, adult themed, realistic. I think he said he liked it. He'd recommend it.
Did you? Did you? I mean, given that some databases put it on as a romance, did you? I mean, did you buy that that there was any romance, that they fell in love with each
No,
other?
I wouldn't really consider it a romance personally. I
So,
mean, it's like slice of life. Like technically, you could put every genre in slice of life if you tried. You know, it's like
I mean,
or action
but
or something.
not just that. I guess, um, rather than the tag, I'm asking whether, do you think there was any romance between um, the two characters, or was it, because to me it seemed more like the woman had fallen in love with him, but he hadn't fallen in love with her. He just pitied her or something. Or
Yeah, you could say that.
hmm,
It did seem very one sided because you know it's like secret agent. It's very it is somewhat stereotypical too. It's like the spy who's supposed to pretend to fall in love, and then she does fall in love, and then it's like, you know, he kind of knows what the deal is the entire time, and I get it, like it's like we said earlier, he kind of knows how it's going to end. So yeah, I guess it's more of pity than it is love. I'd agree with that. Yeah,
mm-hmm. I see.
but then I'm sure people would argue that the reason he didn't pull the trigger is because he was in love with her or something.
Yeah, yeah, I guess that might be the case for her, but then what about the first girl? Obviously,
Yeah,
he wasn't in love with the first
yeah,
girl. So
yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? Maybe it was love at first sight or something.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. What else is there to talk about? Um, do you have any? I guess I mostly did the. Hmm. I think we can move on to final thoughts. And my final
Yeah.
thoughts are that I'm kind of interested in this setting. Maybe even I've seen a bit more about Fusei,
Yeah.
and so I might I might give the manga a look. I mean, I have regretted sometimes looking at the manga earlier. Um,
Yeah.
uh, especially, I mean, the Ghost in the Shell manga was all right, but there's another series by the same author. What was it called? Let me have a quick look. Uh, I can't remember. There's another series similar to Ghost in the Shell by the same author. Again by Masamune Shiro. And
Akira.
um, let's check. Um, Apple Seed, yeah, I think yes.
Oh, I tried watching that and
Yeah,
I didn't like it.
yeah. I mean the anime. I don't know. I mean, at least I don't know if there's more than one anime, but um, the one which I did watch was just them cursing. I guess it was kind of
Yeah,
some.
like a giant robot and some I don't even
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, and I did regret reading the manga because it was really boring.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I don't know whether that might be the case
Yeah.
with
Well, if
I,
you do end up reading it, tell me how it is. I'm not
yeah.
much of a manga reader, so I don't really I don't really read manga.
I mean, like I like serious stories, but I don't
Yeah.
necessarily like the dark stories.
The overly depressing, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, basically the ones where the characters don't have any choice, any
Yeah.
agency, where things just happen to them rather than out of their control, rather than just because of the choices they make. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that um, uh, Jinro is like all the way like that because obviously the protagonist had a choice to run away with her, so there was a choice to be made other than just following orders. But
Yeah.
yeah, but for example, if you look at Legend of the Galactic Heroes, it's a serious story, but um, the decisions which the characters make,
Much
uh,
more upbeat. Yeah.
they matter.
Yeah.
It's not just uh, the setting and the atmosphere carrying the story. If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Did do
Yeah.
you, I mean, do you feel any interest in learning anything more about the story? I guess not enough to read the manga, but I mean the
Yeah.
setting, I
I mean,
guess.
I'm pretty satisfied with the story, to be honest.
I mean
The setting,
yeah,
I, the setting, yeah, maybe, but I'm not huge into manga, like I said, and there's so much stuff that I need to watch right now anyway. So, um, yeah, like I said, if I hear, I haven't even ever really heard much about it. So,
yeah,
um,
yeah. There's a lot of people who I think have seen Jinro because of the director, because it's by Oshii,
yeah, yeah,
but don't know about that he worked on a manga or something.
yeah.
Um, I mean, I think it's
It is a somewhat a low key anime, even by today, even today, it's there's not a lot of people that speak about it. It's kind of just that one like serious mature anime, but outside of that it's not like it doesn't get a lot of spotlight really.
yes. I mean, even when people talk about Oshii stuff, I mean, it's more
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's So, I mean, why do you think that is? Why do you think people care more about Ghost in the Shell and Angel's Egg than um,
They're well, I think they're both more. What's the word to use? There's more supernatural stuff going on with those shows. There's more fan service, like action type stuff, and in Angel's Egg, it's like mystery bait and stuff too, and it's like watching it because what's going on here, like um, and this show doesn't really have many of that. You watch it because I guess it kind of sucks you into that atmosphere, as opposed to mystery bait or fan service or action or something. Even though some people might get baited by the initial action, like you said, it doesn't. It wouldn't take long watching it to know that it's not a show it's not like a shonen or something.
yeah, mm, I mean, when it comes to Ghost in the Shell, I think Oshi was just it was just an adaptation, right? Um,
Mhm.
but with Angel's Egg, it was an original, and with this, I think it's an adaptation. With Jinro, it's an adaptation, but it's an adaptation of something that he himself worked on. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I guess they're all different in that respect. Um,
yeah, that's true.
would you? I mean, mm, so you don't think, for instance, that Ghost in the Shell is a better told story than this?
No, I don't think so.
Not even the original movie or the TV series.
No, I was never a huge fan of Ghost in the Shell. Well, I do. I think what was it called? The Ghost in the Shell, some standalone complex. I think was we could say on a similar level to it, but I think Jinro's better. I already said it's one of my favorite anime movies, so it um,
So,
kind of goes to show what I think about it. I think it, um, like I said, it handles. I don't know how else to say other than realistic. I know I use that word a lot in videos and stuff, but it really is the definition of a realistic, mature anime. Um, and obviously, it has flaws. Everything does, but I think the flaws don't. I still think it's definitely worth watching for anyone who's into anime, especially if you're watching what's coming out today.
so I guess, when you say realistic, um, so do you think that the supernatural aspects and the sci-fi aspects in Ghost in the Shell take away from the story because the sci-fi and the supernatural stuff make it less realistic than Jinro?
Well, I'm mainly speaking on character designs and how do I say the way the faces are animated and stuff. But yeah, the more supernatural elements you have in something, and the more like stuff like that is less realistic by definition. Yeah. Um, I wouldn't necessarily say it takes away. I mean, my problems with Ghost in the Shell are more with like the overall plot and stuff. But like, uh, yeah, I guess technically it does take away from the realism. I mean, the less supernatural elements you have, the more realistic the story is going to be. And that's the problem with supernatural elements is like you never know when they're going to ass pull something, which does happen in Ghost in the Shell. I think.
I guess to play, yeah, the same with sci-fi. I guess to
Yeah.
to to uh, to play devil's advocate. I mean, somebody could say, I mean, if you want realistic designs, why watch anime at all? Why not watch real actors? I mean, they obviously are more real than realistic drawings.
Yeah, that's true, but like, why watch Japanese cartoons when you can watch American cartoons? Obviously, people watch anime because it's takes itself a little bit more seriously than the American cartoons. So I think it makes sense to have anime that caters to people that want something more realistic, versus the average shonen or isekai or magic thing or something.
Yes, and I guess, but I mean, I guess there are some cartoons which have more realistic body proportion, or at least they used to be.
Yeah, there are some, but
Yeah. Um, but what?
um, well, there's not much coming out today because, like I said earlier, with the whole CalArts thing taking over. Uh,
I mean, I guess, are you against stylization? I guess often. I guess, I mean, to an extent, people do watch anime because there's less stylization. I would agree,
yeah, I
especially.
mean, I might get the more I don't know how you'd explain it. Like the more basically, I'm against the whole CalArts trend, and I'm against the over cutification of everything. Like I sometimes I follow like some people on Twitter, like artists or whatever, and they'll draw characters from these realistic shows and make them look younger and like more cutified and like for example Revi from Black Lagoon. There's always people, it's like the Japanese have that obsession with like over cutifying everything to the point of like making it kind of nauseating. It's like
Yes, yes, I understand. But I guess the reason why I'm asking is because there are also people who are in favor of having cute characters, but are against cal arts because they think that cal arts is uh, basically increasing ugliness, whereas what they are doing is increasing beauty or something like that.
no,
Uh,
I don't agree with that. It's the same thing where the anime fandoms seem to think they're somehow dominant to like the brony or the furry people. But a lot of these people will sit down and fantasize over like K-On characters or little 7-year-old looking girls, but then somehow think they're superior to someone who's fantasizing over little My Little Pony characters. There's really not much of a difference. It's all degenerate.
all right, at least gender is not degenerate.
Yeah, not as much as the lollicons and the My Little Pony fans and all that.
Okay.
This is a alpha males anime. Let's just say that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I guess. What's the meme? The quadrillion or something. Um, what's that again? The one with the music which plays in the background. Which which tells you to ignore women or something.
Oh yeah,
The grind set. Yes, I guess
yeah, the Sigma male thing.
grind set. Yeah, and I
Yeah,
guess Fuse has got the
yeah, definitely a Sigma male.
yeah. No simping here.
Yeah.
All right. I think on that note, I think we can say that. One last thing, the score, of course. So what's your score for this?
9 out of 10. It should be held as up there with what anime should be. We need to get rid of all this garbage. We need to incorporate more anime like this. We need to go back to the more realistic, mature stuff. Educate yourself, plebs. Watch good anime. Don't watch the garbage that's coming out today.
I think I'm going to go with a 6 out of 10. Um, because it's just too small of a story for me. I just prefer stories which try to like tell a lot of stuff. It's just a personal preference, I guess. It just felt to me like,
Pleb opinion.
well, that's your
Um,
opinion. But it just felt to me like, yeah, it was too short, I guess. Like that it was,
yeah, I understand what you're saying.
it was part of a saga taken out as a demo to go and read the manga. But it's still good by itself, of course. But it's still short. Um, but I did enjoy the atmosphere. Certainly above average. But yeah,
Yeah,
again, that's not enough for me to chew into. But because if you did not notice, there wasn't. We did kind of repeat ourselves a bit in this conversation. It was a bit of a struggle. I mean, part of it, of course, is that it's just the two of us. I'm sure
yeah,
if there were more people, there would have been more things to say. But I guess I didn't have a lot of things to say.
yeah. It's
Just
not a. It is an anime that you kind of just have to watch, and it kind of explains it for itself. You don't. If we like, I get what you're saying. Also, it's a movie too, and there's not it's different than if we were going over, like a series or something where there's individual episodes and there's more to speak about. But
yes,
yeah, I get what you're saying.
yeah. I mean, there are some movies. I guess it was too maybe if it had another hour or so, there might have been more to talk about.
It also, the like I said, with the lack of dialogue, it can make it harder.
Yes,
Like
yes,
something talking about something like Technolize would probably be pretty similar conversation because outside of the themes and stuff like that, there's not a whole lot to talk about in terms of like characters and stuff. A lot of the characters could feel like sort of hollow, I guess.
yeah. They're kind of overwhelmed by the setting.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
overshadowed or whatever.
yes, good. That's better. And yeah, yeah. So thank you for listening.